And we're live. Welcome everybody to a community event. It seems like we're far away, but we are literally within arm's reach. There you are. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'll kind of outline the objective of today's call, and it could be a quick one. It could literally be 10, 15 minutes. Or it can be longer if needs be. I feel like this one's going to be a little shorter, and then we'll probably have another one in early February that'll be much more detailed once we actually have functionality built, and then there's feedback on that, which will probably be more extensive. So George is alongside me because he's actually going to be taking notes. He's head of product, and we'll be making sure that as we get ready for January and February, that we have a clear roadmap, and we will. This actually be now we have an application a designer joining the team. This is like probably going to be our best well thought out feature. And so that's why we want to kind of do a little bit of preamble and get some of your feedback. We do have a few different other softwares that we know are very comparable, and we would like to kind of mimic some of their features. And those being Service Autopilot and Real Green. We want to kind of choose the best from both of those worlds and then simplify it dramatically. As you've kind of seen with sequence automations, or sorry, I should say price matrices and job costing, it being an optional toggle on as an advanced feature. This will be similar because a lot of people don't need to have things like waiting lists. They don't need to have multi-step programs, etc. And we don't want them to be bogged down with that when they are trying to get started. However, it'll be something you can toggle on and see the advanced functionality. So really the goal of today is to get some of the most important things to you when it comes to chemical treatments and applications. And the thing that is risky in having a meeting like this is everyone's like, well, it's not in there. We won't be able to accommodate everybody, but we want to get a general gist and direction of where people are coming from, so that way when we do develop during January and February and do our best by March 1st to have the bulk of the functionality there, and then we can refine that into the future. And we just want to make sure we prioritize what is most important to the community. In part due to the fact that I don't have thousands of chemical treatment applicating clients. Most of my locations have a couple hundred max. We don't specialize in it. It's not something that we do. And so there are literally specific softwares like Real Green that specialize in just this one thing. And so I will first off say, if you have thousands of chemical treatment applications and you have very, very detailed treatment packages, you might want to wait on us until after the spring rush, like wait until next spring rush. That might not be a bad idea. Now, do I believe that 90% of people that do chemical treatments applications and that do have a lot of customers will be able to be using Copilot by March 1st? I do believe that. But I would not put all the eggs in the basket if I was a business owner that my applications that are happening on March, the first week of March, are going to be inside Copilot if I have thousands of customers and really, really well-defined workflows in another software program. If you have a few hundred, I would be like, yes, 100%. If you have a few thousand, I would really stay in tune with what we're doing over the next couple of months. Make sure you're on the early February community event as well, just to make sure that's actually going to serve you to the and you can actually move over and not have too much friction. So with all of that being said, George, you want to say hello just so people don't think you're mute? Like
I'm here. I can talk. Hi, everyone. I just want to say I'm super thankful for the people that have already joined. Copilot has kind of been a community built project for the last few months with all the feedback we've been getting. So I'm excited. I'm excited to hear you guys' thoughts. That's all I had to say.
Such a disappointment. All right. So I will say, I'll kick this off by saying the one way you could actually help us probably the most, because I know right now it's like, what do you want? And it's very vague. The one thing that you could really, really help us with, if you like your current workflow, the thing that you can do the most to help us is email us a recorded screen share of your workflow. Because like right now, you're gonna give me like a very detailed something, and it might not make perfect sense to me until I see that video. And so, if you could do me a favor, it is Stephen George. You want to put this up? Actually, here, that's Stephen George. Look at this guy. You want to put in the chat, George? Go ahead and put your email.
Oh, can I do that?
Actually, I can put it up on the screen. Check this out.
Yeah, do it on the screen.
Okay, it is Stephen George at Copilot CRM. Now let's see, dude. Have you ever had your name.
My
Dude,
public email or my email in public.
no, check this out, bro. Oh yeah, dude. We
Yo,
got
that's
yourself a
awesome.
ticker symbol. So if you have a here, you know what? Let me do this. Let me make this better. Email your video your screen recorded workflow to. Let's go. Now we're talking, folks. Bam.
I
Um
love it.
yeah. So that is most optimal because everyone uses, we have noticed this, everyone uses the chemical treatment application features very, very differently, whether it be packages, wait list, etc. So if we can see as many of these as possible, it would give us a lot of context because I do it one way. And that's all I know. And so as much as I can just pump that through, I do feel like if we have a better representation of the community, we can serve everyone better. Let's go ahead and hop into some of the questions that came in already or slash comments, not really questions as much as comments. So go ahead and kick this off. Brent says, if it has the functionality of Service Autopilot and is done by the end of February, that would be ideal. Okay. Turf Nerd Lawn Care says, I will need the ability to print all invoices and route sheets the day before technicians. I'm pretty certain we have that in the works, so thank you. And again, some of these, like, just say what you're thinking because that is very helpful. But above all, send us the recorded workflow is super helpful for us. Also need the ability to move services from the waitlist to the dispatch order and back to the waiting list at ease. Okay, that's a great point. Moving it back to the waiting list instead of just going one way. It's a good point. So our current idea and a kind of a schedule is that we will first work on the wait list, and the wait list should be done in the middle of January. Then from there, we will move on to packages, since we really need the wait list in order for packages to be effective. And that's kind of what Will says here. Waiting list and chemical tracking go hand in hand, so I'm excited to see how this feature will beat a lot of other CRMs. I'd say at the beginning, we're not going to beat everyone in terms of functionality, but I do think from the sake of simplicity and like usability, especially for new operators, they'll be able to jump into it sooner. And then as time goes on, we'll add the deeper levels of functionality that more experienced operators might need. All right, next one, single entry for package. Schedule from estimate right now have to enter twice. Okay, got it. So I think don't we have this as a separate ticket already, George? Like being able to schedule a package from the estimate?
Kind of. You can schedule a whole estimate right now, but you can't. If you want to schedule like 3 lines at once and there was 6 lines, you couldn't do that.
Got it. Okay. Waiting list needs an area to put scheduling notes. I'm assuming that would be on each individual visit. Oh, I see what you're saying. Scheduling notes, like when you think you could put it on. Got it. Yeah, so our idea right now for the I'm muting you, George. Our idea right now for the waiting list is essentially that any accepted estimate will go to the waiting list. So what will happen is like your scheduling dispatcher person, they'll just know they always are going to go to the waiting list to schedule jobs. And then what we believe is going to be beneficial is like here are the estimates, or here are the jobs that were accepted from an estimate and be labeled. Here are the jobs that are on the waiting list based upon being in a package with a given window of time for dates. So, for example, you're setting up a 7-step package, and each of those steps, our hope is that you can put a date range of when you want it to show up on the wait list. And then the wait list will be categorized and ranked based upon what is the most highest priority, based on how many more days are left for it to be in the waiting list. So, for example, if you have a 7-day window where you must get a job done, those would be coming close to expiration and be at the top of the waiting list. This is what's going through our head right now. So I'm just sharing this with you because this is very preliminary, but it's like where our head is at. And as like a waiting list should be where, as a scheduler, as a dispatcher, I go there and from the top to the bottom, it is most important to be scheduled to least important to scheduled. Least important to schedule is like, hey, sometimes the next 6 months, I need to get this treatment application done. I'll throw it on the wait list and I'll have 180 days till I need to get it done. That would be towards the bottom. Whereas if I've put a set step, 7-step program and it has 2 days until it must be done, it would be at the highest priority. And we'd eventually tie in automations that would alert you like, hey, this one's within the next 3 days, this specific step must be completed.
To add that too really quick, Mike, we also were thinking about adding some sort of functionality where you can basically have steps block next steps. So if you have 3 steps and step 2 needs to happen before step 3 happens, you can kind of add it as a blocker to step 3, something along those lines.
Fantastic. And this is why seeing some of your workflows are going to be super helpful for us because we have in our mind what we think is going to do really well. But if we can see all of your feedback, it'll help us refine some of these features to prevent any sort of extra learning you have to do. So again, the people that send us the workflows, you will probably be the most pleasantly surprised when we roll out the features because you will see us try to accommodate certain workflows specifically. Have condition codes for lawns. Make it clickable for the technician to click problems in the lawn. Mode too short, water the lawn, fungus found, etc. My idea is to make them tags, maybe, and then can email customers of the conditions of the lawn and then be able to upsell them. I think this honestly could be something that would already be baked into upsells, don't you think, George?
Yeah, I think you could use upsells for this. Or if you're saying it in the sense of like we had to skip this lawn because of those issues or something, you can already add skipped notes when you skip a job. So we have that too.
You could technically also do it based on tags, like have an automation based on it. Like when you add a tag, it would send them an email being like, so you could like skipped lawn due to lawn, wet lawn could be the name of the tag. It fires off an email or text message to them on that too.
Yeah, and you can even use upsells kind of the same way without actually upselling someone. If you wanted to just notify a customer, you can have an upsell do that as well. It's kind of a hack, but it would work.
Yeah, because really all automation or upsell is doing is using automation in the back end to send an email or a text template. So you can really use it however you'd like in terms of notifying a client based upon certain inputs. And then you can name those however you'd like as well. So, all right, let's see what we got. Brian has, it would be great to be able to add video links to job notes. The crew can click on the video link when they arrive on the job site. This is not possible in SA. Yeah, so we actually have a ticket that won't be done by March 1st, but it is very similar in terms of what they have at Company Cam and videos being able to be attached to specific line items as well as specific estimates. So that is something that's on our roadmap. It's not going to be done by March 1st, like when we're talking about chemical application, but it is definitely on our horizon. And I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, George, can you add a video link already inside of job notes?
You could add it as a link if it's uploaded somewhere else, and you just want to share it that way. And I think you can even embed a video too. So if you wanted to copy like the embed code from YouTube, I believe that works also.
Yeah, and that is simply because we have the email plugin, or sorry, the plugin for email that has video in there. So Brian, specifically speaking to SA, that's what they're lacking. It's just an extra plugin. All right, let's see here. I second the condition codes. Yeah, so I would probably use tags right now and upsells to be able to right off the bat. I do think that down the road, potentially upsells could be something that we change in terms of verbiage, kind of like we do in terms of where you're allowed to currently customize the name of like your menus. You could change this down the road to be like condition codes, and then you just literally would name the email templates your condition codes. But the functionality is there. Will, if you can add conflict days, this would be useful to treat on days that are not specific Mo days, or if customer doesn't want to be treated on certain days. Okay, I would assume this would be needed for basically every step of a package to add conflict days. I like that idea. So when setting up, have to potentially set up an optional like date range. You would have to also then set up like what we can call conflict days, and you could specifically say when not on like a certain service, like not in the same day as a specific service or X amount of days away from another service. Sounds like a very something that we have to add down the road, but it definitely be something pretty cool. Be like, hey, I want to add this step of the program, but I want it to be at least 2 days away from mowing, or I want it to be no more than 2 days after mowing, for example. That sounds like something we'd do down the road. Go ahead.
Yeah, and maybe that's something we build into like the step blockers too. Like maybe we can say if this recurring series falls on this day, you can't schedule step 3, something like that.
Great point. Okay, Jim Barrett, New York State has some crazy rules with agreements. Would it help if I sent a PDF of the rules and laws pertaining to agreements and such? I assume the biggest one you're probably talking about is the signature, and that is going to be addressed later in February, and that's adding signature blocks to the estimate process. So when people are actually checking out click accept, it'll be like, hey, you got to sign here, and then they can sign with their finger or with their mouse pad or like their cursor. That's usually the biggest thing, because most of all the other agreements and the issues you can address in your verbiage of like terms and conditions. So those things are pretty customizable, but I think the biggest thing you're probably referencing is the signature part. And so we currently do have signatures inside of forms, but it is not as user friendly as like having it like right when they click accept, it just asks like a pop up for their signature, and we are working on that. I would say late February, early March on that one, George. You think for the signature block?
Yeah, I mean it has to be part of this chemical application build out. So the goal is to have all of that ready by spring. So hopefully.
Yeah. I also second need for wow, Turf Nerd is really into the seconding and thirding of things. We have a voting system going here. All right. Needs to be able to see turf square foot, like you can see budget hours and etc. So you currently can put it in custom fields. I'm assuming the visibility is what you're trying to get at. George, is this like a field you think down the road we could show inside inside like dispatch board or something?
Yeah, I'm thinking even the wait list should just maybe like you could have the ability to add different custom fields to the list view in waitlist. Um, I know I've heard that this is important to make sure you have enough chemicals like loaded on the truck before you go out to apply that day.
That's why I
So,
think dispatch board might be better though, because like if you've already dispatched them, you'd still need to see all of that, right?
yep, that's a really good point. I'll take note of that.
On that note, to his point about budget hours, it'd be kind of cool if they could choose what they see on the mobile version instead of budget hours, right? So like, on every single tab, we have budget hours being shown. It'd be cool if they could select what custom field instead of budget hours they wanted to show. Because some people would want to show turf square footage. Other people might want to have like their tool list, other stuff down the road that they can use custom fields for. All right. Okay, we got a third of the condition codes. All right. Being able to fill, so like to address this directly, I would say for now the upsell feature would work, and it's literally exact same functionality with a different word on it. So if you literally just swapped out upsells for condition codes, name your email or text templates the condition code you want for your text to be able to see, and then they would tap on that, and then you on the back end would create the template according to whatever condition code you're trying to build up for. Look at you taking over notes over there, George. Just like in a fury. Oh yeah, look at you. Oh yeah, man. Let's go. All right. Will Kelly says being able to filter the waiting list based on which treatment round they need will allow us to buy enough chemicals for the entire round. So it really just having the filter feature. Yeah, I agree. Like really just kind of taking our existing filters, George, and being able to plop that on the top of the wait list. It'll be also helpful to have where this next couple weeks we're building out some changes to the dispatch board, one of which is being able to see multiple days. So for example, it'd be nice to be able to see like the next month on the dispatch board, because like again, what we got to be careful of is stuff being dispatched on the dispatch board and stuff on the waiting list, and then you don't see all the chemicals you need on the dispatch board because you're just filtering out the waiting list, right? So we need to be able to have that too. So cool. It's not the same for upsells. I need to be able to email the customer an after service report, and we can tell them all the conditions found. Oh, I see what you're saying. You like want it to be more customizable. Okay, let me think for a second. Yeah, because otherwise you have to create a lot of templates. I see what you're saying. Like what you could technically do is you could have different templates for each of the different things that you typically do, like issues that you can commonly find. But if you're trying to have like combinations of multiples, that could get a little more hairy.
I would imagine seeing this as like a merge tag that you can add in an email that maybe when you on completion there's a checklist that you can check the condition codes that get added to that merge tag and then get triggered by an automation.
I wonder if dispatcher notes could be like you could check that to be like the thing that is part of the merge tag. That just gets hairy because usually dispatcher notes are internal only. Um,
I think if it's a checklist, we could probably build that. It shouldn't be too difficult.
and then they just have to check off which ones they want to include inside of the upsell, for example.
Totally.
Got it, that makes sense. On the applicator side, what does this mean? Sorry. I think I missed this one. Sorry, Will.
Oh,
Jim, go ahead.
I can read that last one if you want.
Go ahead.
Oh, applicator side. Is it this one? When they select the right fertilizer, they're applying to have the back end automatically do the math on how many pounds per 1K square footage based on the turf square footage so they know the exact amount.
Doesn't this already have in chemical tracking? Or is not tied in with your custom fields?
I don't know. Maybe we'll get to that comment.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
I think
Sorry,
we
this
already
kinda...
I think we already covered that in the custom fields.
Okay. Chemical tracking. I need to be able to download an Excel file of just pesticide application for submitting to the state every year. Okay, I'm assuming this would be a report, and it'd be something along the lines of a chemical application report. Links don't work on mobile. It would be amazing to get this fixed, as I'm sure people using links to put maintenance videos, etc. I assume you mean that when you put the link in there, you can't tap on it and it like be clickable. I'm assuming that's what you mean for that. George, have you seen this?
I'm not sure which link. Oh, is it? Would this be for an estimate?
It just depends on where. I don't know where they're putting it. It sounds like it's job notes. If they put in a link into job notes, it's not clickable.
I can take a look. Or let's see, this was on Facebook. If the Facebook person can say links don't work for estimate or whatever you're saying, that clarification would help a ton.
Give us your name maybe, just so we can take a look at it. And you can't add tags from the event. Windows. Can't add tags from the event. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're referring back to what we were talking about with the condition code stuff. So the ability to add tags from the event.
I think that's something we'll have to build out. It seems like people need it enough for us to not make a workaround, but to actually make a list. And it doesn't sound too hard to build.
Yeah, from the mobile side. And then we'd have to make sure it's tied to user permissions because you don't want team members being able to add a bunch of tags. Company Cam is awesome. Been using it for 5 years. Steve says definitely need square footage per property for turf treatment on dispatch board in order to mix up the amount of product needed for the day or pounds of fertilizer to bring with us. Yeah, so I think this is just a matter of bringing custom fields, George, the ability to add custom fields to the dispatch board. So you could quickly like put it in as a filter of like which ones you want to see, and then it'd add them up at the bottom if they're integer based. Okay, here's Will's question. On the applicator side, the crew needs the ability to add wind speed, temperature, and chemicals being applied. So this is already in there. One tap of button, and you should be able to get wind speed, temperature, etc. Chemicals being applied. Is that part automatic, George? Depends how you've set up for now.
It is it is part of the chemical application part. You can set the chemicals applied with those conditions.
Got it. Besides just getting a video, would you be willing to take time and have someone walk you through the process live? There's several steps and processes that tie together for chemical tracking. Like I think so. Let me correct me if I'm wrong, George. Would it be best though if they just did a screen recording with their audio and like walked us through it, and then if you had specific questions, you could follow up with them? Because otherwise, if we do a live, like we're not going to have like the detailed step by step, and usually we can figure it out. Like if you do that.
Yeah, maybe if you guys want to send me a video, and in that video is this who is this Al? Al, if you send me a video, just say something like, "I'm totally willing to hop on a Zoom call if you need more feedback" or something like that, and then that way I can watch your video. And if I have more questions or something, I can send you a link and we can schedule a time to go on a call together. I'd definitely be willing to do that.
Brian says that links don't work on mobile; they work on desktop, but not on mobile devices. It would be amazing to get this fixed for videos for crew members. Okay, I think this is a pretty easy thing. I agree with this one, George. I think this is like it works on our desktops, but on the mobile side, I don't think you can tap on the link. So this should be an easy fix. Our man Igor will knock this out. Steve says, also, will there be a call ahead icon on the dispatch board? Not yet. I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's like the ability to be able to just like quickly glance at the dispatch board and know if someone needs to be called ahead. We talked about this already, George. What did we come up with this? Was this something that we were going to have an optional thing on the dispatch board for people to add down the road, right?
Yeah, it was going to be like a customer specific setting or even like a series setting that you could say call before and then that yeah, like an icon would show up. I think we could probably make this pretty easily.
I thought we already put this in the backlog? I think it's way down in the backlog.
It could be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've already actually like kind of built this one out, but it's not like highest priority. So Steve, will there be? Yes. When? Probably later in the year, to be perfectly honest. The use case for most conflict days would be our clients tell us to never spray on Friday because my mow guy cuts on Fridays. Right. Got it. So that'd be like one of those date things that we could try to restrict. It's like in terms of that, I think it's like restricting certain days of the week, restricting days since last service or days until next service, for example. And then specific services would be even like another level beyond that. Will Kelly says, applicator side, when they select the right fertilizer, they are applying to have the back end automatically do the math on how many pounds per 1,000 square feet based on their strips to know exact amount.
So that'd basically like be probably attaching a custom field to the chemical that you save and having it calculate, which I think, oh, I see. You can save like what the mixture is, but it's not pulling from a custom field to actually get your amount. That makes a lot of sense.
But we could tie the two together, right? So like when you're putting in the chemicals, you could say, hey, tie it to this custom field and then give the amount of chemical required. So basically be tying specific chemicals to specific custom fields to give the determined amount of chemical needed. Needed turf square footage on both waiting list and dispatch board. We have established this. Thank you very much. We third and fourth and sixth and eighth the motion. Can we title an estimate a proposal or contract? We are sending very large estimates, and several times clients ask me to convert it to a contract. George, can you already do this, or are we just changing internal tabs when you change the name of something? I think it's just internal.
Yeah, I don't. What's the maybe they can give us feedback. What's the difference between an estimate and a contract? Or are they
It's literally
referring to
it's literally verbiage for a customer's sake. So like massive contracts, sometimes they're like, hey, I don't want an estimate, I want a contract. You're like, the estimate is the contract. But the ability to change that word, my only concern is like literally everywhere, internally, on the client portal, on the document.
Oh, sorry, I'm cutting in and out. Yeah, and maybe when we add signatures to the estimate, it'll kind of make it more like a contract because they have to sign to accept it. So that
Great
might be
point.
a yeah.
Maybe as part of that signature thing, George, we can make it where when on the signature block that pops up, we have a spot where they can edit in their settings what it says. So for some people, they'll just want to say like, please sign to confirm. Other people might want to say something along the line of like, this contract is now legally binding, but like they can kind of add it so they can make it as formal as they want.
That is always something you can list in the estimate terms too before they sign. It's kind of laying that all out that it's legally binding or anything like that.
All right. Well, Kelly says from the field side, if we can have the applicator see the turf scripter on the route in the morning on mobile version would be incredible. Right now, our manager is constantly relaying this daily. Yep. I think we have established it'll be on the dispatch board. And what we hope to do down the road is have the ability to switch out things like budget hours or add a tag on the mobile version to see things like a certain custom field, which could be square footage.
I think Will brings up a good point. If his employees are doing the ones that are actually loading up the chemicals needed for the day, it should probably say it on their schedule. Or even maybe we have that new job status module on the My Day. Maybe on that, we can have like a little part that says like, this is this many chemical or this much chemical is needed for today's work or something like that.
Well, I'm even thinking the ability to customize like that job status tag on the schedule, like the grid view, just have it where you can choose like what custom field you want to show up there. Because if you're running your applicating crew, you might be like, hey, I want this specific custom field, i.e., square footage, to show there instead. All right, upsells is different than condition codes. The tech needs to be able to select multiple conditions. We could do it with tags if it is possible, if the tech can add tags easily and then only assign them. Yes, we have established that. It'd be nice to see visit notes to input your raw notes and internal notes being shown as a text box option for scheduling purposes from the estimate. Whoa, what? All right, George, let's decipher this. It'd be nice to see visit notes to input your raw notes. I got lost right there. It would be nice to see visit notes to input your raw notes and internal notes being shown as a text box option for scheduling purposes from the estimate. Yeah, I'm not tracking. Are you tracking, George?
No, I don't know what the difference between a raw note and a visit note is.
Mergeable condition codes. Okay. All right, whatever. Let's establish something real quick, George. Can we promise everyone that we have condition codes? I think
Guys, you've made it clear. Condition codes are very important. We'll make them for you.
just in case you didn't notice. All right. I'll put together a video for Steven on our workflow for master packages, waiting lists, and setup on the office side, as well as a video for our applicators in the field to help better with workflows. Thank you very much, Will. Correct. Links are not clickable on job notes on the mobile, so the crew leader cannot click on the link to play the video. Okay, yeah, I think this is a pretty easy fix because on desktop, I know this is already happening. Like we can do this. So sorry, there's a bunch of stuff, comments coming in, so I'm a little behind. Unable to click the link on job notes. Yep, we got that established. Yeah, signature. But the other thing is any pesticide applications must be totaled by dollar amount separate from non-pesticide application. Yeah, so what I'm thinking is inside of your reports, this would be like in the report, and you could break it down by pesticide in terms like square footage, dollar amount that you applied, the amount of chemical that you applied, etc. So those are I off the top of my head, George, those are probably the three things that someone would need inside of a chemical report. In addition to like it being able to drill down into the days and customers, properties, addresses, etc. For example, currently I have to send a separate estimate for an aeration from any pesticide. Got it. That makes sense. So ideally, the report would be able to break this all down for you by the item and service that you've chosen for specific steps. Chemicals applied need to be attached to certain services. So round one will apply this chemical at this rate based on square foot. Yes, fantastic. And based on what you said in that last sentence, if I could see a video of how that is being set up, I would appreciate it. That's the part we want to see. Call ahead the day before is a mandatory option we need to offer our clients when applying chemicals. All right. This could somewhat be done by tags or automations already, right? Because, go ahead, George. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. We could also make this a part of the package. If your package requires it, then it could just tag the visits on the dispatch board.
Got it. And again, like this is probably going to be a matter of allowing the tag to go onto the schedule view, like the grid view for team members on the mobile side. So keep in mind, we are typing comments way before you address them. Therefore, you're bound to get, yes, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Custom fields on or off for tech. Oh, I'm assuming you mean like permissions. Is that what you're getting, George?
Oh, this might be for if they can view it on their schedule, which I think that would make sense.
Like permissions to see whether or not. Yeah, okay. Why wasn't I notified about this community event? I've been waiting and always checking the Facebook group daily. Kevin, don't worry. This is not
communication.
Don't worry. This is mostly a preliminary event. Early February, I'll give like a week's heads up on the one that will be more refining once we have built the waiting list, and then we're moving into packages. But we wanted to kind of get some feedback right off the get before we start planning the. Did you have something to add?
Oh no! I was just gonna say, Kevin, I will make sure to personally send you a messenger pigeon next time we're gonna go live. It might take a week to get there, but you'll.
All right. The ability to input how much chemical is currently in the tank and based on how much work is scheduled for the day, it tells you how much water to add and how much product to add based on predetermined recipes for that application. It would really simplify for employees who aren't math geniuses. Yeah, so this would be like when we're setting up the individual chemicals, George, then that would have to again be tied to the square footage custom field, and then we have to pump out like here's how much you need to be using, and
But
then
I think he's also saying like they would need to save like how big their truck's capacity is to hold the chemicals, and then track how much is used to see how much there's left. Which that could get a little confusing, especially if you accidentally use more or less than you needed or you loaded up for the day. I could see this getting off track very easily.
my question is like, what's the advantage of seeing that versus turning around and like looking in the tank? But I think based on his thing about the math geniuses part, it seems to me it's more a matter of like the mixture, which is like at the beginning of the day, here's how many square feet I have, here's how much product I should have, here's how much water I should be having. It's like basically helping with the mixture. So it'd be kind
Yep.
of cool if on the dispatch board they see all the addition of all the square footage and how much chemical they need, but then if that's tied into the chemical of how much water is supposed to be added, and they could just be like, okay, I need in my truck, I need to have X amount of product and X amount of water. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was meaning by attaching a custom field to the chemical, because we do already save the chemical mixture. But then if you could calculate that automatically based on a custom field, then it would literally tell them you need this much chemical, this much water. There's your mixture, because we do have mixture calculation already.
In order for that to actually work for a day, for example, though, like you would have to somehow notify the dispatch board that, hey, I'm going to go do chemicals today. Because it's not going to be able to just take a custom field, add it all up. It's going to be able to, like, we're going to be able to deduce how much chemical is needed. But like, you almost need a button that says, like, you see what I'm saying?
I think if it's on the schedule, though, we could probably just say like any chemical that's on the schedule for today needs to show up wherever we put it and say the total amount for that day. And then we could probably break it into assignments too, because there's probably, if you have 2 trucks going out, then you'll need to know how much is going in each truck.
Yeah, that could get a little hairy based on
Yeah.
even assigning of people. Okay, Brent, we have taken note. We appreciate this feedback. This is likely something that will come in later than March 1st, to be honest, though. But what will be there is like square footage, how much product to use. I just don't think we're going to be tracking the amount that's in your truck for a while. Seth Rambo, hey guys, are there any plans to make child properties in the client portal as a drop-down list that can be managed from the adult client portal account?
The client portal isn't split up by property right now. It's split up. It's each customer has a client portal, and then any activity that happens under any property for that client will show up in their client portal. So I guess this would be more organized because you can choose which property you're looking at. But as of right now, you would see every child property of the client portal account.
Okay, we got Frank. To view, yes. Mo day, but not all of them, or it's too cluttered. I have no idea what you're referring to, Frank, but I'm sure this makes perfect sense. Oh, here we go. I think back to this, but custom fields on or off for tech, to view, mode, etc., but not all of them are too cluttered. Are you tracking there, George? I think that
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
think. Yeah, I think it's just like you don't want to show all your employees all the custom fields because they might get confused. So
Roger that. Yep.
showing which ones, yeah.
Thank you for doing this. I'm an old school former Real Green user from the early 1990s. Whoa. And current SAP user. I appreciate you listening to your users. I can't wait until all right, let's go.
Turf nerd, please send me a video then. If you've been using Real Green since the 90s, I want a video.
Yes.
You're probably a genius.
Make the switch. Even though I cannot CP yet, I will continue our enterprise subscription to help support your day. Thank you. I very much appreciate it. Turf nerd, I appreciate it. Johnny Ramirez, is it possible in the future to have the message icon under the visit? Some clients prefer text messages before arriving to get their pets inside prior to spraying. I know this is possible now going into the client profile and clicking send text. We talked about this before as like having the phone or text message icon that they can quickly tap on instead of going into the client profile. We're just trying. The reason we are careful with this stuff, guys, is we don't want to clutter, like give you too many options. I know everyone has their own option they want. Like some people want to call, some people want to text, some people want to be able to add custom fields, some people want to have like the chemical mixture for the next property. If we do too much, it will get overwhelming for the operators out in the field. And so, but this is something we have talked about. George, you remember like I remember talking to you about this like 6 months ago. I think we put like on the back burner of like the ability to have this, right?
Yeah, I remember it now. Actually, it was for the employee to call before they get there, and it would show on their schedule. And yeah, we had to move some things around. But hey, maybe we can do some more complicated things because we have some fun positions starting soon that are going to help us build out that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the my thought is the ability to have multiple things that they can show, and it's up to them, right? So on that dispatch board, like on that grid view for calendar, right now we mandate certain things, like the budget hours are on there, etc. It'd be really cool if we could customize that. Each user, like, hey, I want my users to see, and we say, hey, look, you only can choose 3 out of these 8, but you can choose a custom field, you can choose a contact button like phone or text message to the customer, etc. Like on the way text, stuff like that. And to just real quick on that note, we do have down the road to have it where you can notify customers automatically that you're on your way, and then they'll actually be able to click on a link. It'll open up the client portal, and they'll be able to see the crew on the GPS coming to their house. And there's certain parameters around that because you don't always want that to happen like based upon the job before them getting finished, because the guys might have a lunch break and now they're like, why aren't they here? And they stop for 30 minutes at the gas station, even though they're half a mile away. So we have some certain parameters we've thought about that through, but that's on the down the road. Spokane's flying conflict days. All right, George. We have a third one. Conflict days that actually prevent jobs from showing up on the waiting list for current day. Very good. We have established that conflict days are important. Regarding the options on app, can the options be controlled on a user's setting screen? So customizable app controls based off user settings. Yes, this would, I think, be the goal. And it'd be like you'd have global settings and then you have user settings of which ones you would be choosing as options for them to see. That makes sense to you, George? Kind of like we do with global settings for the customers, like with credit card on file, etc. It'd be like, hey, here's all the options you can have to be shown on the calendar grid view and on the job notes or on the job visit. Which ones do you want? And then individualizing that based on user, because like your chemical applicators, you might want them to see the custom fields, whereas your project guys, you're like, I just want them to see budget hours. That's the only thing that matters. So, all right.
Ooh, maybe this is something we could do by role too. Maybe we can have view options and then also assign
I think
if an
role is
employee
the
is an
easiest.
applicator.
Yep. Otherwise, it's going to get like too many clicks for every single user. You have to set this up. So by role, they should be able to choose what they want seen on the visit, and that's how we would word it. And then that would determine what they see on the grid view of the calendar for quick access. Things like budget hours, square footage of the property, and we can make like several things, custom field stuff. Kevin's extravaganza. Just like previous mentioned, having all the mixed rates would help automate the business so our guys can go and mix everything without me there. Also, would help them know exactly how much they need. Fantastic. This would be probably something that we like kind of step two after the first part, which is like adding up all the square footage and then having like how much chemical needs it. Down the road, I think there needs to be a button that like says like create mixture or something along those lines that tells them, okay, this is how much water, this is how much product, go kind of thing. How about auto applied or at least the option weather data? How about auto applied weather data? Oh, this is in there. Like the weather data already gets pulled. This is already being done. So, all right, everyone. I appreciate your feedback. Went longer than I thought, but thank you all so much for your feedback. We have at least 15 or 20 things written down. So that gives us a good starting point. Last thing, I'm not going to keep going because like it's just going to go all day. So, down below, let's read it together. Email your screen recorded workflow to
To
STEVENGORGE.com. So,
please email me.
okay,
And yeah, like I said, if you're willing to go on a Zoom call. Just tell me when you email me your video, and I might reach out and ask you to schedule one with me.
Okay, George, we have some people squeaking in here. Let's ask a few questions here. Can you build a button to automate everything, even our guys? Yes, that is exactly what we're working on. Actually, the button is going to be where George will actually show up at your property, and he will actually do all the work for you.
Yeah, you'll actually be able to hire a Copilot robot.
Yeah,
And
actually,
yeah, those will just be all your
George, the George summons button. This is summon George.
It'll actually just be a robot version of me. It'll look exactly the same, and I'll just show up.
Better looking on him, I hope.
Oh yeah, way better looking.
How about a wiki type page where we can upload all chemical so we don't have to carry it in the truck? We do have wikis already. George, is wiki visible from mobile or not? Because mostly just for office. So it's really just for the office right now. So this would be something you'd want to actually put inside of your visit notes based upon the chemical type. Okay. G'day, mate. When you say, oh, 1 second.
Mike's on the hype train.
Yeah, dude. We're gonna say g'day, mate. We're gonna wrap ourselves in the Australian flag.
You have to, dude. You have
Right.
to.
G'day, mate. Can you? Hey, you give me a better g'day, mate, than that. G'day, mate.
Yeah, I heard if you say good eye, like your eye might, or no, yeah, good eye and then might, like I might do something. That's how you get it. Good eye might.
Do. When you say numbers like 1 million in revenue, I need to exchange the currency rate as I'm an Australian. So US to Australian dollars as 1 million in USD would be 1.5 million in AUD. Cheers. I wouldn't like stress about this. I saw your comment on after the last webinar. It just like I'm not exactly sure what would change. But yeah, you could like it just the same concepts apply. $1 million business, I'm going to usually recommend the exact same thing, regardless if it's in AUD or USD, because just a few years ago, AUD was actually higher value than USD. So it just goes up and down, and such is life. But business is constant. Look at this. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, we are in business now. All right, before this gets way too carried away, because as time goes on, we just continue to spiral out of control here. Thank you all. Really
Shout out to
appreciate
Al. I already got an email from Al. Go Al.
Dude, Al, you need to email your address, and we're gonna send you a gift card to Starbucks. Starbucks for Al. Al, what was his last name again?
Handwritten.
It was like
Al Neville.
I knew it started with an N. Cool, awesome. Al Neville, thank you very much for your video. Now we'll see if the other 50 people that have attended this live stream will also obey the rules. Email your screen recording workflow to stephengeorge@copilotcrm.com. All right, everyone, go hit the subscribe button to the George Summons button, and we'll see you early February for round 2 and getting more feedback on these features. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you soon.